The H12 Prep Baseball Report.
Welcome to the H12 Prep Baseball Report. I'm Ramon Scott, and I'm joined as always by EastCountySports.com's Dave Dickens. And this week, seniors from the Grossmont Foothillers, Chris GIOVENGO and Jesse GARCIA. Dave, Foothillers are ranked number 1 in our East County top 5 this week, so let's just start it off with them. They trailed Helix in the latest Max Preps rankings, but we have them ahead of Helix mainly because of some of their significant wins that they've had this season, including the win over highly ranked Bishop Gorman of Nevada and the win in the tie against Eastlake earlier this season. The Grossmont Foothillers number 1 in our poll.
Yeah, Chris, if you could kind of reflect on that games against Eastlake, what was your goal in both of those games?
Eastlake was always a big challenge last year to this year, but 2 times. Coming back that game where we were down 6-1 was just incredible. Coach Abruzzo really pushed us towards the later innings that we really needed to pick it up. And we got really lucky with some, and it was really fun playing them. It's always a blast. They always put a big challenge. They always have good defense. It's always throwing hard, always good defense.
Now, did you know them when they were playing on that Little League World Series team?
Yes, I did know Grant Holman, yeah. I watched him when I was a kid. I've known him for a while. It was fun facing him.
That must be really fun, man, since you knew him.
Now the Foothillers earned a split last week in the anticipated games that we talked about against Granite Hills, and we also lost a game to Bishops on Saturday. Some of the games that we've lost, Jesse, maybe we haven't taken them as seriously, or we've had bigger games on deck, and maybe that's where we've faltered in some of those games, and maybe that's why the Max Prep rankings have us below Helix, but we're rating it on the strength of some of those wins. But the same thing is happening next week. You have games against Helix on deck, but you have a non-league game before that on Tuesday against Ramona. So do you think there's a lack of focus on some of those games when you have bigger teams or bigger opponents on deck? And is that something that Coach Jordan Abruzzo is preaching with you guys? Hey, let's bring it every time.
Yeah, definitely. No one's telling us, let's go. We need to get effort every time. And yeah, we lose focus at sometimes. And we lose focus when we do try to fix. We have to give it a roll.
Well, you guys certainly focused yesterday. Let's talk about the win on Thursday. We talked about the split. I guess you guys won on each other's home fields, but yesterday the complete game from your teammates, Jack Hyde, he was in a pitcher's duel with the Eagles' Trevor Hazelhurst, a guy you guys know pretty well, both on and off the field. That was a real pitcher's duel, and I don't mean to tease you guys a bit. You got the win. You guys had 1 hit. You made it happen. Chris, what happened in the game? And tell me about Tuesday's game as well. The Eagles really had their bats out, took it to you guys, I'm sure, up the focus a little bit on Thursday.
Trevor's a great pitcher. I mean, I faced him a lot in my career, and the other day he was really painting his spots going really low and away. Really had a lot of command with his changeup. It was really fooling a lot of guys out front, a lot of ground downs, but luckily we managed to get through a few mishaps and.
Jesse, tell me about the effort that you guys got from Jack in that one. He has now lowered his ERA to 1.62. It was his 5th win of the season. Tell me about that game, and also if you can, I thought the no-hitter against Bishop Gorman was actually undercovered, if you will. I thought it was such a big moment, and we really didn't see a lot about it. Tell me about Jack's season and the effort he gave you guys yesterday against the Eagles.
Yeah, Jack, he always gives his best effort every time. He's always focused. He doesn't say much, but you can see him zoned in, and he does give his best, and he's great.
Would you say that he's probably your ace, so to speak, in the rotation?
I believe so.
Fair enough. Jesse, you're hitting .346 this season. The Grossmont Conference leading 4 home runs, already surpassing the 3 home runs you hit last year. You were a second-team All-East County selection. Tell me about your power growth. We saw you in here hitting off the hit tracks and kind of working on your exit velocity and hip work there. Tell me about the progression this year.
I'm more focused on just hitting the ball hard rather than the outcome and just really focusing on each of that we put.
Chris, we talked about some of the things maybe you've seen some of our episodes. Grossmont has to win this and Grossmont has to win that, but let's remind everyone CIF Division I champions from last season, and you guys had that incredible game against Francis Parker in the championship. And I want to know if you touch on that game. You guys had a big role in that game, and a key run in that game came on a fly ball, and you made an incredible slide at home and knocked the ball loose from the catcher. I felt like that was the pivotal moment to that game, and you guys went on to beat Parker 8-3 for that championship.
That game was absolutely surreal. Just being able to go there on that big of a platform with that much, support from our school and being able to go and stick with what we've been doing all season. It was a surreal moment for the whole team, I think.
Jesse, you guys finished last season with a 6-game winning streak, and that's the 9th CIF title in 17 years for Grossmont. So even though things did not work out like you might have wanted in the Grossmont Hills League, there's certain expectations that come when it comes to playoff time. How did Coach Abruzzo refocus you guys and get you into the mode of competing in the playoffs? I remember that incredible game also you guys had against Poway, where you had to rally from all those runs down in the late innings.
Well, he always told us to also do our best and to always have fun. So, and then you only play this game for so long, and then you're done, you're like, wow, I want to play again. So he just says, just give it your all.
Ramon, and you mentioned Poway, and not that they're in our league, but they've won 11 games straight, so that really has something to say about the Hillers.
Certainly. Chris, you're hitting .312 this season, which on most teams would be right among the top 2 or 3 hitters on any team, but on the Foothillers, no disrespect, you're an average hitter. Talk about how good this team is. Everyone in the starting lineup is hitting over 300. I'm talking about great hitters with some great reputations. Gio, he was a great Little League slugger. He's only a sophomore. Jace Russell, Austin Odom, your leadoff hitter, Keone Valdez, and Zach Ferris. Wow, what a lineup. Tell me about a few of these guys.
Hitting behind them is a challenge. I see them get on base and then putting all this pressure on me that I got to hit them in. It's really fun to watch him hit. Tyler Perrin has been hitting like crazy this year. Big supporter of him. Keone Drake. I mean, you go down the line. There's not really too many holes that pitchers can go to. So it's really fun to watch those guys.
And not to mention, I mean, just looking at the Max Rep report today, I mean, they have 8 RBI leaders, and they are all starting with Jesse and ending with Tyler Perrin.
Well, what's that like for you, Jesse? Guys on base, I mean, that's a hitter's dream. I mean, it's a free roll, if you will, and you've come through, but although I've been touting you every episode as one of our leading power hitters in the East County, I'm sure that's not your focus when you're up there to play. Drive the ball, tell me about it.
I just want to do my job on the team, man. That's all I'm trying to focus on doing rather than last year just taking it myself, which is not right. And like, I'm going to do this for my team and get hits and score.
The H12 Prep Baseball Report. Visit the H12 Sports Academy off of Old Highway 80 in El Cajon. Get lessons from top local instructors. Use our team workout and cage facility specials, newly renovated, for baseball and softball. Plus, have your performance metrics analyzed using patented technology in HitTrax. That's the H12 Sports Academy off of Old Highway 80 in El Cajon. Call Scott Hoppy Hopgood at 619-328-1412. That's the H12 Sports Academy in El Cajon.
All right, now we're going to kick it into our East County top 5 and cover the rest of these guys. And most of the East County top 5 are the opponents, ironically enough, of the Grossmont Foothillers. And number 2 in our poll is the Helix Highlanders. I voted them number 2. Dave, you had them number 3. But our combined poll put enough points for Helix to be number 2 in the poll. They had a pair of non-league games this week. They had the non-league bye. You guys will experience later. But they played La Jolla Country Day, and they lost. Got caught up maybe looking ahead because they played their rivals Cathedral Catholic then on Thursday. And in that game, they got a big lift. What they needed for that struggling offense, Alonzo Richardson hit a walk-off 3-run home run, his second home run of the game. Helix beat Cathedral Catholic on Thursday and earned a league split this week. Dave, anything on Helix?
Yeah, I talked to Richardson after that, and he was just ecstatic, and so was Cole. He said, to get that monkey off their back and to bring themselves back up to par. So he's ready for a chunk of wins now.
not only are they a rival of the Grossmont Foothillers, I mean, Grossmont Hills, I'm a Highlander, you guys are Hillers, you guys are willing to sit here with me, but tell me about some of those Healers Highlanders you know and that you played against that you respect.
I know a lot of the teams, starting with Austin Kretschmar. He's a great kid. I've played with him for a really long time. Justice Cervantes, we played Little League together. Brandon Peterson, me and him, we worked out before. We played on multiple teams, played against each other, so it's always good to play against guys you know.
Jesse, the Highlanders, they've struggled a bit on offense, and you guys are going to face them next week. 2 games. I'm sure that they're ready to put some of their woes behind them. And I said, hey, you guys, don't get all wrapped up in just forgetting about Ramona, but you have to be looking forward to those games with the Highlanders. It's going to start to settle this league title.
They're a team that can battle back, definitely. They're a team that can hit, field, definitely field. They're a great field team. And yeah, they're great.
Now, Dave, we're going to have Christian, the Patriots, as our number 3 team right now, who you voted number 2, and I had voted them number 3, and the point total had Christian third. We'll come back to them because I want to continue on with talking about the opponents for the Grossmont Hills League right now, because there's some important games coming up, and this league is going to start to settle right now as we enter the middle portion of the league season. So we'll skip quickly to number 4, who is Granite Hills. That's another top rival of these guys and all the other teams in the Hills League. Let's give the Eagles plenty of credit for their 14-6 win over these Foothillers last week. Jake Finn had 2 home runs in that game and kind of got to the pitching a little bit in that one, and including a homer by Mr. Crucial played on that team. Bradley Harris seems to be coming through big time for them. Sean McGrew also drove in 3, and Trevor Hazelhurst had another couple of RBIs. Dave Brannett.
Well, you know, we're talking about the Highlander here. You got a couple of Hillers and 1 Eagle over here, and I've been really impressed with Bradley Harris. Actually, he's really had a different season this year as opposed to last year. He did hard work, and you can see it on the field. I think he's one of the up-and-coming players that's going to help the Eagles get into that title.
Well, guys, I have to ask you, 14-6, they got to us that game. Jesse, what happened? Tell me, please.
They really came out and hit, and they launched the balls out of the park. Our pitchers left some balls, but they're still great hitting. It just happened.
Anybody stand out, Chris, on the Eagles to you? Trevor had another great game.
Trevor's always Bradley Harris, a nice run-out game. Respect to him. I mean, they just came out flat out. Every pitcher we had, they were just every hole their runs. It's just how it goes.
Now, Dave, we'll talk about the next 2 teams in the Grossmont Hills League, including the Santana Sultans, which you have number 5 in our poll. I did not include them in the poll this week. I had the Monte Vista Monarchs number 5, but we'll talk about the Monarchs when we get to the Valley League. Let's talk right now about Santana and El Capitan, if you will. You had Santana, as I said, number 5, but El Capitan swept the Sultans last week, yet you moved Santana into the top 5. What was the thinking there?
Well, I would give all the respect to Coach Ledesma and his squad. When you can beat the Highlanders once and you can tie them all in the same week, then I think that you're deserving of the number 5 spot.
Fair enough. The Sultans are going to take on Granite in a 2-game set this week. We're not going to make any predictions here, but you guys are certainly going to be interested in the results of that series there. And also, I'll be talking about El Capitan in their sweep of Santana, and a great player that did it again for the Vaqueros, Blake Payton. On Tuesday, he struck out 10 and allowed 3 hits over 6 2/3 innings to get the win, and then he came back and had a home run in the following game during that sweep. So El Capitan is all of a sudden, I'd say, inserted themselves in the Grossmont Hills League race, Dave.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, and it was predicted at the beginning of the season too that he was going to be number 1 in the rotation, and he was going to be the go-to guy for El Capitan. I'm not really sold yet on El Cap. I mean, they did beat the Sultans, and the Sultans beat Helix, but I'm not sold on them yet. But I think El Cap, I think they'll compete, and especially when they have Peyton on the mound.
Well, and also mentioned on that Thursday game that senior Shane Cunningham, he pitched 6 2/3 innings to help them complete that sweep. And maybe you can comment, Chris. You know Blake Payton over there. I was laughing and talking about last week's show
known for a long time, played a lot together. He's a great pitcher. When he's on, he keeps going hard, going away, coming back with that curveball. It's hard to hit, so it's always a challenge.
Now, Dave, I respect what you said about the Sultans, and I'm not going to hold anything back on them either. I mean, at least we forget that they shared the co-league championship with the Helix Highlanders last year. And I want to correct something I said last week, that they had faltered late in the season. Of course, it was exactly the opposite. The Sultans surged late in the season and had a great playoff run. I had meant to say that the Sultans had some struggles early on this season and then turned it around with that sweep of Helix. So that was something I wanted to add on that. Let's go over to the Valley League now, and the other team at number 5 is my selection, the Monte Vista Monarchs, based on my vote. The Monarchs had a 6-game winning streak snapped, however, by the Mount Miguel Matadors on Tuesday. The Matadors' Joseph Mendoza pitched 6 innings to beat Monte Vista 3-2. Finally, Dave, the Matadors were on the winning side of one of those 1- and 2-run games that you and Frank Point have been talking about. Tell me about that first before we talk about the Monarchs.
You know, it's really funny too, because Frank, he even sends me these little emojis through text, and he's got one with tears, he's got one with the frown, one with a semi-happy face. It's pretty fun to get these texts from Frank, but he just, you can't figure out what else to do. He said these kids fight, they play their tails off, and they practice hard, and then they just barely don't get it done, and then they finally took it to the Monarchs, and so I got it all smiley faces. Those emojis were all smiley faces this week.
I think that's why Frank's turned around over there in Mount Miguel as well, with a little bit of the culture. You know, he's probably communicating via text to motivate these guys with some of those crazy emojis. But let's return to the Monarchs now, and I want to cover something this week. It's probably one of the biggest stories of the week. The Monte Vista Monarchs and El Cajon Valley Braves played down at Petco Park on Thursday night. A great game. The Monarchs came back from that loss to beat El Cajon Valley 11-2 as Derek Wiley had 2 RBI for the 6th time in the last 9 games. So he's still red hot. And East County Sports Player of the Week, Ivan Pizzola, combined with Abraham Sanchez on the pitching duties for a win at the big ballpark. Dave, what a night for the Braves and the Monarchs.
You know, I think that they're both teams that are flying under the radar. Even the Braves, I mean, they were, 500 for a while there. They started off 4-4. They were on the upswing of things, and the same thing with Monte Vista. But I definitely would not take either of those teams too lightly, because I think that those teams are just as capable, no offense, as the Hillers or the Helix Highlanders.
Well, despite all the success that the Monarchs have had in this early season, consider them only tied for first at this point. There is a 3-way tie in the Grossmont Valley League for first place. All 3 teams are 4-1. It's Monte Vista, it's Valhalla, and it's the Steel Canyon Cougars. At least we not forget the Cougars. The Monarchs will play the Braves again on Tuesday and then face Steel Canyon in a big Thursday-Friday set. That's going to be a very, very important series. The Cougars beat those Matadors 5-3 on Thursday behind junior Aaron Taylor and the combined pitching of junior Jonathan Kinney and senior Ivan Canales, who struck out 5 in 2 innings for the save in that one. You're familiar with Canales and some of the Cougars, Chris.
Played with Ivan over the summer with the dovetail bat, and spent a lot of time watching him pitch. He's always fun, so it's not surprising to hear him be doing that good.
The Steel Canyon hosts Mount Miguel on Tuesday before that series with the Monarchs. Dave, that's going to be a big series. 2 of the 3 teams in serious contention when you're talking about Steel Canyon and Monte Vista. Any prediction from you on that series?
That one's going to be a real tough one. They do have that new coach over there at Steel Canyon, as they no longer have Dan Derrick, who was there for several years. They have former El Cap pitcher Jesse Evans, who's taken over at the helms, and I think he's done a fantastic job with them. You have their top pitcher Trevor Back. He's been fantastic. I believe he's had at least 2 complete games, maybe more this season. So then they have quite a few great hitters as well. So it's going to be a real tough one. I think it's actually going to be a lower scoring event, though.
The H12 Prep Baseball Report. Visit the H12 Sports Academy off of Old Highway 80 in El Cajon. Get lessons from top local instructors. Use our team workout and cage facility specials, newly renovated, for baseball and softball. Plus, have your performance metrics analyzed using patented technology in HitTrax. That's the H12 Sports Academy off of Old Highway 80 in El Cajon. Call Scott Hoppy Hopgood at 619-328-1412. That's the H12 Sports Academy in El Cajon.
The Hall and Norsemen are the other 4-1 team as they handed the Cougars their first league losses on Tuesday as Max Hageman drove in 2 runs, including the walk-off game winner in the bottom of the 8th inning to signal Ball's arrival in the pennant chase. The Norsemen also won a great game over West Hills in 8 innings on Thursday as Ethan Dunham drove in the go-ahead run with the bases loaded in the top of the 8th. Let's move out of the Grossmont Conference now and come back and talk about those Christian Patriots, Dave. They had a tough loss on Friday afternoon against Saints. They beat them earlier in the week, but they were trailing 4-0 before rallying for 3 runs in the bottom of the 7th inning and had the bases loaded. But a base runner was thrown out trying to take an extra base at the end of the game. Patriots probably needed that win to get the sweep over the Saints, but I guess they'll take a split.
Yeah, and you know, the funny thing was I was actually talking to the athletic director, David Beezer from Christian. We were texting back and forth. He was supposed to be getting the update from the coaches as well, which I'm sure they were, but I happened to be talking to him, and I had to give him the bad news of the player thrown out at third. But they did come back. I mean, it was 4-0. Hate to say, I almost thought that they were done for, but they put 3 on the board, and I'll tell you, right now, Christian's sitting at 11-9. They're still, 3-2? So they're definitely in the race, and they have been all season long. And they even had lost a couple of them transferred over to Helix.
Well, they've earned that number 2 ranking from you, and not quite from me yet, but I mean, we certainly know their potential, and I think we saw a lot of that potential on Tuesday's game. They beat St. Augustine with 5 home runs at Hickman Field. Garrett Nielsen, he blasted 2 home runs, and he is now tied for the county lead with 6 home runs. He was previously co-East County leader with Jesse, and Jesse's going to either get some more homers and stay in that race or just drive the ball and keep those Hillers in it. But Garrett Nielsen is our unofficial home run leader at this point, 6 home runs. They also had home runs in that game from Trent Nielsen and Owen Easley, who went yard. The Patriots got to Jack Dolak for 3 home runs in the early innings, including the 2nd straight game, a leadoff home run by Jacob Beck, who looking real good since they've shuffled the lineup there at Christian. Chris, Jacob Beck is a guy you've seen, huh?
Jacob Beck goes all the way back to Lake Murray Little League. We played against each other there and playing against each other now, so it's a small world.
Well, that does make me feel good. Here I was kind of giving these Hillers a little grief, but a fellow Lake Murray Little League alum. We've never gone all the way, but we have a lot of heart over there at Lake Murray. So let's move to the Foothill Christian Knights right now, who, hey, they really earned a huge split in their new division with their new league rival, Classical Academy, as senior Trevor Smallwood pitched a complete Game 2 hitter, and Bailey Lewis led the offense with 2 hits and an RBI. For them to come out of that opening series with a split against Classical Academy definitely shows that they now belong in that Pacific League, I think, Dave.
Yeah, and I like when I hear from Dave Lewis, because that means that he's having great games out there. There was a small, I'd say a handful of games that they lost, and they were never really beaten down. They were losing close games. Not to mention, you were saying the pitching, but it was also the defense. Jack Wertz is behind the dish has been fantastic for them all season. I guess all the pitchers choose to pitch to him. He threw, he actually threw, I think, 3 or 4 runners out, so he kept the base paths clear. So that's that's huge too in a game like that.
They did play some excellent defense in that game. They turned 2 double plays. I think one was a line drive. They turned it into a double play and made several key stops with men in scoring position and 2 outs to get out of the inning. That preserved the victory over Classical Academy. The Knights are expected to do pretty well, I would think, in their series next week. They're playing Tri-City Christian, who actually leads the league with a 1-0 record, although Tri-City Christian's power rating doesn't match up with the real contenders in the Pacific League. Dave, I want to mention in that first game against Classical Academy that the Knights lost. It was 10-7, but the Knights also made a furious comeback in that one. 5 runs in the 7th inning. And ended the game just short. The bases were loaded when the game ended. So I also wanted to throw one note out there is Mountain Empire Junior Trevor Elliott pitched a no-hitter with 13 strikeouts on Thursday against Calvary Christian in a Pacific League game. So nice job, Trevor and the Red Hawks. They're looking good in their league. So well, thanks for joining us out here at H12 Sports Academy off of Old Highway 80 in El Cajon. I'd like to thank Chris Giovengo and also Jesse Garcia for joining us. And Dave, also, I want to mention, these Hillers here and harking back to your dad, certainly one of the most famous Foothiller alums, Bill Dickens, was a catcher at Grossmont, and I want to let you guys know, and maybe you can go back and tease one of your own a little bit. You guys might find this interesting that Coach Frank Foggiano, your athletic director and the great basketball coach, he actually led the Foothillers in baseball in stolen bases in 1968. So you can say, hey, Frank, you were a real burner on the base paths, huh?
Oh, definitely. I'll look forward to that. I played basketball on his JV team, so I got to see him a little bit, but I had his class, so it'll be fun to burn him.
Yeah, you can see it. You can see Frank burning up the base paths a little bit, and of course he played on Bill. Your dad graduated in 1967, I believe, at Grossmont.
Yeah, and then he was backup catcher, and he would catch for Brian Sykes. So we all know who Brian Sykes was, and he went on to be a great quarterback, San Diego State, to leave and then the Cleveland Browns. So a lot of history at Grossmont, and we got more history in the making right here, fellas. I think you're on the road to probably another CIF. Can't make any predictions yet, but you guys are definitely on the right track.
Yeah, we'll see. And again, it's going to come down as we spoke with some of those other teams. We spoke with Helix, we spoke with Granite, and it's going to be a case where maybe those top 2 teams in league might end up in Open, and you might end up in Division 1. That's where Grossmont won their championship last year. But I think Grossmont wants to say, hey, you know what? We won a Division 1 championship. Let's take the next step. Right? So, hey, we're going to get in and do a little Grossmont Helix Challenge in the hit tracks here at H12. And let's thank all of our other sponsors, Al's Sports Shop, Nicolosi's Italian Restaurant, and Retro Sports. Join us next week right here for the H12 Prep Baseball Report.
The H12 Prep Baseball Report.